America's longest war began on September 11, 2001, when terrorists struck the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a field in Pennsylvania, killing nearly 3,000 people. The U.S. quickly identified al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, as responsible. Bin Laden was hiding in Afghanistan, protected by the Taliban, who ruled the country with a harsh version of Islamic law and sheltered al-Qaeda. President George W. Bush issued an ultimatum: hand over bin Laden and al-Qaeda leaders, or face military action. The Taliban refused. On October 7, 2001, the U.S. and allies launched Operation Enduring Freedom to dismantle al-Qaeda and remove the Taliban from power. Airstrikes and ground operations quickly toppled the Taliban government. Many al-Qaeda leaders were killed or captured, and a new government was installed in Kabul. It seemed like a swift victory, but the conflict was just beginning. The Taliban regrouped, and the war entered a new uncertain phase. What started as a response to terror would become a decades-long struggle. The mission in Afghanistan soon expanded beyond counterterrorism. The U.S. and allies tried to build a stable democracy, train Afghan forces, and rebuild the economy. At its peak, over 100,000 U.S. troops were deployed, fighting a resurgent Taliban. The human and financial costs soared: over 2,400 Americans killed, tens of thousands of Afghans dead, and more than $2 trillion spent. In 2011, U.S. forces killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan, achieving the original goal. Yet, the war continued, shifting to preventing Taliban resurgence and keeping Afghanistan from becoming a terrorist haven. The Taliban, aided by outside support and government corruption, remained resilient. The U.S. found itself in a costly stalemate, propping up a fragile Afghan government. The war dragged on, with no clear end in sight. America's longest war had become a generational conflict. The decision to withdraw U.S. troops was years in the making, supported by 3 presidents. President Trump negotiated a withdrawal deal with the Taliban. President Biden set the final deadline for September 11, 2021. Supporters argued the U.S. had done all it could after 2 decades and trillions spent. They saw the mission as unwinnable and the cost too high. Critics warned withdrawal would lead to Taliban takeover, collapse of the Afghan government, and renewed terrorist threats. They feared for Afghan allies, women, and girls who had gained rights under U.S. protection. The debate revealed deep divisions over America's global role and moral responsibility. The choice was not just strategic, but moral, impacting millions of Afghan lives. Thousands of Afghans who aided the U.S. faced grave danger. The end of the war was a moment of relief for some, and dread for others. America's exit would have consequences far beyond its borders. As U.S. troops left in August 2021, the Afghan government collapsed in days. The Taliban retook control, sparking chaos and a desperate evacuation from Kabul airport. Promises of moderation were met with skepticism as reports of repression and reprisals surfaced. Afghanistan now faces economic collapse and humanitarian crisis, with millions at risk of starvation. The world must decide how to help Afghans without legitimizing the Taliban. Security remains fragile, with ISIS-K and other groups posing new threats. The U.S. promises over-the-horizon counterterrorism, but its influence is limited. The future of Afghanistan is uncertain, and the debate over America's withdrawal continues. For Afghans, the end of America's war is the start of a new, uncertain era. Their fate and the region's security hangs in the balance.